happening, everybody? Welcome to the Paranormies presents the Ahnenerbe Hour. I am Johnny Monoxide, and tonight I am joined by, it's actually kind of a deep panel. We have Death, we have Scott Taylor, and we have Adam Haidt, and we have from the Alc-Right Rises, a show I've been on a couple times. I'm like the ninth mic or some shit on that show. Mr. Larry Ridgeway. What's happening, fellas?
Not much. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, Larry. Scoot, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Adam.
Hello.
And, you know, his deathliness. What's up, dude?
Yes, hi. Hello.
All right. So, yeah, we're doing a little bit of a crossover with another one of our The Right Stuff or radio.therightstuff.biz podcasts. Larry's a big fan of the show. According to a friend of ours, Mr. J.O. Delaray, we have it on good faith that Larry has actually said, "Shut the fuck up, Johnny's one of my favorite people." So don't talk shit about Bigfoot. So
no, he was shit talking Bigfoot pretty bad. I actually do think that Bigfoot could exist, and he was like, "Oh, fuck that, man, you've been listening to fucking Johnny too much. That's not fucking real."
Yeah. See, some of these people just need to understand that we are nothing but brains in a vat. And maybe not even that. But this world that we are a part of or perceive isn't exactly how we see it. And, you know, maybe it is all just a hologram. Maybe it's just a ride. Maybe it's just, you know, or maybe it's exactly what it is. Maybe it's fucking shitty and I go to work every day. I mean, you know, like,
maybe it's both at the same time.
Maybe it's both at the same. Yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah, what is life, man? Like, what?
Maybe like a
life,
brain in a
man?
vat goes to work every day, and you just experience it as driving.
Oh God. I would think the programmers would have done more with it than having, like, you know, a cat.
Nah, programmers are assholes.
Yeah.
Literally everything just barely works.
Right. Anyways, so we're here. We're the Paranormies. We are. We did PK Man last week. We talked about psychokinesis and people that can move things with their minds. Tonight we're going to talk about another paranormal subject. These are things that come out in the night. They cannot come out in the daytime. They suck your blood. They bite you in the neck. They convert you into one of them when that happens. We're talking about vampires.
They may be Jews.
They may, in fact, be the kikes.
Let's be real. They're definitely Jews.
Okay, yeah.
We were gonna save that.
But you
gotta
save that. You gotta save that plot twist for later.
Is there anything that isn't the Jews?
No.
I don't know. Like, there's that one song.
You guys should do
sunshine and lollipops and rainbows, and yeah, that song's not Jews. But anyway.
Oh, favorite things?
Yeah.
The Christmas song?
No, not these are some of the things. No, totally different.
Led Zeppelin?
Anyways,
you guys could literally do like a 3-hour show of trying to find things that aren't Jewish.
It would probably be more
like
like
you
lines
could
of
spend it
5, 7. Yeah, it would take us a day, and then finally be like, "Hey, snow cones aren't Jewish," and then somebody like, "No, here's the thing about snow cones." Like, yeah, like.
Here's the thing about.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about vampires. Let's talk about vampires. Where does the vampire legend come from? Who wants to start?
Well, most people think of Bram Stoker's Dracula, but Mr. Stoker there didn't just make up all that lore on his own, and he drew from a lot of Eastern European folklore, which goes back kind of 300 years or so is where you really, like, it really ramps up. You know, the idea of corpses coming back from the dead to, you know.
Well, actually, there are like folk tales in every culture for always about corpses and stuff. You know,
yeah,
souls of the dead, you know, killing people and stuff.
but the modern vampire archetype is sort of heavily inspired by the Eastern European sort of mythos and the sort of specific things they developed there. Another fun fact, a lot of people think that Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, is based on Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler. That's not actually true. He doesn't mention it anywhere in the book or in his notes. Bram Stoker's notes, when he was writing the book, have been found. They were found in 1913 and auctioned off, but then in 1970 they were recovered, and he doesn't talk about Vlad at all. And they were very extensive notes. So if that was an inspiration, he definitely would have written it down.
Yeah, I had read that he had someone had that he had a lot of the stuff that he had drew from were actual rituals from back in the time of Vlad the Impaler, is what I had read.
Yeah, well, the vampire lore, it goes back a long way. I'm not saying that Vlad the Impaler never had anything to do with the vampires or anything like that, but like Dracula wasn't specifically supposed to just be Vlad the Impaler,
Right.
No, yeah, definitely not.
The whole Vlad the Impaler thing is it's kind of a really cool like tie-in, because he was he was the Romanian, right? And the Romanians are keeping the Muslims out right now, and they were at that time keeping the Muslims out of Europe.
Yeah, he Vlad the Impaler. I actually got a book about him. He was Prince of Wallachia, and he's like regarded by some as like defending Christianity from the Muslims and the Turks and the Ottoman Empire. I think he was like surrounded by them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, at that point, once you're surrounded by that kind of an animal, like you turn into apparently a vampire. You put people's heads on spikes. You put people's heads on spikes because it's like, look, stay the fuck off my lawn. Otherwise, you end up like this.
Well, there are worse things to turn into. He could have become out a nigger.
Yeah, but I don't see how someone who has a soul could transform into something that doesn't have one.
Fair point.
Well, some of the stuff I'd read about Vlad the Impaler, I mean, like, he's Vlad the Impaler. He would impale people, obviously, but he would, like, they're dull instruments into the ground, and he would, like, impale these people through their ass and, like, come up out of their chest, like, in the lower neck area. And
it was really painful.
Yeah, it took a long time.
How are you?
Yeah.
Pull him down over time.
Yeah, it said that he, at times would eat and, like, have his dinner and whatnot around, like, the dying. And, I mean, it's just people, old, like, passed down through the years that he would dip his bread in people's blood and whatnot. Like, that's, I doubt that's true, but...
He was just the ultimate, like... That's a psychopath. That is the true definition of a psychopath, is somebody who has no emotion when it comes to killing or any sort of traumatic event. And he could do something like that and, dip his bread.
I mean, when you're dealing with Muslims, like, what else do you expect to happen?
Right?
Yeah, I mean, you have, like, a bunch of fucking shit-skinned animals, surrounding you and trying... I mean, these people wanted him and... his ilk to die. Like, he had to do what he had to do.
When did this become the Alc-Right Rises? But,
fuck him.
Talking about shitskins. No, it's okay. We talk about shitskins here too. It's fine. But no, he did his best to keep that out of the Ottoman Empire, out of his territory, and he did well. Was it not? What is modern day Transylvania? Like, what is the area that is known as Transylvania? Is that Romania?
I believe it's
Romania, yeah. It's part of Romania, yeah.
Yeah. And what's their stance on Islam? Not in my country.
Yeah.
Right? Well, here's the barbed wire fence. Stay the fuck out.
Yeah. Well, like Adam was saying about how he didn't pull from Vlad the Impaler in his Dracula book. I think people might have the misconception though, because his dad was Vlad Dracul, and that meant Order of the Dragon.
Right.
And his son Vlad the Impaler was Vlad Dracula.
Right. But that wasn't exactly, the same thing. He was the Order of the Dragon.
Yeah,
Nothing to do with sucking. Had nothing to do with sucking blood and turning into a bat.
Or the clan. But actually, the Dracula.
What do you mean, or the clan?
The Grand Dragons and stuff.
Oh,
no,
I gotcha. Okay.
No,
okay.
The Order of the Dragon was a Christian thing, like to uphold Christendom in their country and to keep the Muslims out.
Right, but the modern vampire myth is I mean, you can go back to ancient China, and there's blood sucking, the Jing Hanshi of the Chinese.
Didn't they have the hopping vampires?
I'm sorry, the what?
They hop everywhere.
I honestly don't.
What?
I don't know about the hopping vampires. I'm actually confused by your yeah. Oh, you want to discuss the hopping vampires, Adam? No, but the Jinghashi, Shangshi, are the evil spirits that attack people and drain their life energy. They're like wrathful deities that appear in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. So the Chinese had a very similar deity or entity that acted as a European vampire that sucked your blood or whatever. I don't know what you were talking about, Adam. I'm sorry.
Dead air.
Dead air, yeah. So okay. So according to a Romanian legend, in order to find a vampire, you need a 7-year-old boy and a white horse. So the boy is put on the horse and set loose in a graveyard, and wherever the horse is nearest towards midday, when it finally stops, it's on a vampire's grave. So, the Romanians had a really loose system of identifying vampires.
That's just generally the case, because the word vampire does not actually have a very good definition. That's why I alluded to all of the myriad of stories that all cultures have about dead, the souls of the dead sucking blood from people and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's a very common thing, but there are very few there's very few things tying all of it together.
Right.
And in Bram Stoker's notes, he was originally going to call it Count Vampire, or Count Wampire, because the spelling changes over time, but it's the same word basically. But he just thought Dracula sounded cooler.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I mean, what other historical facts do we have for vampires here?
In a coherent way. Well, I mean, in the 1700s, they were kind of, when the modern mythos of the vampire had been developed before Bram Stoker's novel, they had all these, the Catholic Church had literal vampire hunters, these real educated guys who'd go around.
Right.
And just, they had these kits and they try to hunt vampires down wherever they went.
What was their reasoning for them being vampires, though?
Well, like I said, back then, this was before the mythos of it had been developed, and what the concept of what a vampire was different. They still thought it was just attached to a recently deceased corpse. So basically, what they do most of the time is they just dig up the corpse, cut out the heart and burn it.
And they were like, "That's it. It's dead. We got it."
Yeah, and this was a sort of practice that would spread all over the place. It even came over to America.
Interesting. Well, what about traditional, old European vampire myths? Is that something that is just a myth in itself? That there were these, myths of these old women or men or whoever who were vampires that, turned into a bat at night or whatever.
Well, no, like that's the popular sort of modern conception. That like back then, it was basically just tied to the idea that someone who had recently died, their corpse was somehow exerting its will over local.
And
people
whenever
killing
they'd go, and whenever they'd go and like find these people, like you were saying about having the horse go through the graveyard and whatnot, when they'd find the corpses and they'd dig them up, they'd look at them and they wouldn't be, a dead body you think would just decompose and whatnot.
Right.
But the bodies would look relatively fresh. But, they're in the ground. It's cooler and whatnot. It's going to, like, slow decomposition. So, like...
Right.
And, a lot of times, like, they would have, like, fresh blood around their mouth and whatnot. And,
they just didn't understand decomposition and, like, why it seemed, looked different and had a different... like expression and a lot of times they would bury someone, and before they became a vampire or suspected them of being a vampire, they would there was a lot of different sort of like preventative measures they would take. Like in some places it was thought that vampires didn't like iron, so they would leave like bits of iron in the hands or stuff the mouth so they couldn't bite people, like stuff it up with iron. But really commonly where the stake comes from is that they would just nail them into, like, nail a wooden stake through their chest, through the coffin, into the ground so that they couldn't get back up.
Yeah,
and that's where
the bind the soul to the ground, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they'd do a lot of things to the bodies after they died. If they feared they'd come back as a vampire, they'd bury people upside down, place earthly objects and shit around to try to like.
They used to have cages over graves, like it was like an iron cage where that way in case they came back.
And these sort of preventative measures would usually be used if you died in a way that they kind of considered to be a risk factor. So I know committing suicide was a very common one. If you killed yourself, they consider that, you're going to come back as a vampire, so we're just going to stake you to be safe,
Yeah.
Yeah, drowning, like Death said, suicide, kind of grisly deaths, I suppose.
Yeah, and I mean, they, grisly deaths to accompany the grisly things they would do to the corpses of these people after they would die.
They would
Another
do
thing
all
that should be
kinds of
pointed out is
nasty things,
A lot of these stories as well, in contrast to more modern stories, is they were said to mainly target like close friends and relatives. So to become a vampire, you kill yourself, they don't stake you, and then you just start like some malicious thing starts attacking your family members and friends, and it's using your corpse, or it is you, or it's like I said, it's unclear. A lot of discrepancy between the stories, but it's much more targeting people you actually were close to in life than it is just kind of this random.
Yeah. So like the body was more of a vessel for a spirit of sorts? Because I think I had read that vampires before, like, it goes back into like there's stuff in the like Lilith, some Hebrew stuff about like it being an evil spirit. So you think that the people would be vessels for?
Well, some people think it's Cain. Some, like, I don't know. Who knows what the hell it is? Maybe it's a spirit of the dead. Maybe it's a demon. I don't know. If assuming it's real at all. There's not a clear explanation for it. It just is. There is a dead body that is somehow exerting influence on local people, so they try to destroy the body and let it actually be dead. That's the general gist of sort of old vampire stories before it became about undead suave fucking Jews.
Yeah. So it sounds like the vampires were scapegoats. I mean, these so-called vampires.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
almost like
or
somebody
oppressed.
made it up,
Yeah.
Well, there's an interesting story in 1591 in this little German town about a shoemaker who, I guess nobody cared who he was because the name isn't recorded anywhere. But a shoemaker committed suicide, and the family, knowing that he could not get the sort of the usual burial rites and these sorts of things, because he committed suicide and that's a sin. Right. They covered it up. They tried to make it look like some kind of accident, which is weird because he cut his throat open. So I don't know how they expected to, hide that one, or like say someone murdered him and then hope they didn't investigate, whatever. But nobody knew that that's what happened except the family. And then, they started getting really nasty poltergeist type attacks and rumors that the suicide, rumors about it started to circulate. People started figuring out what happened. And so they exhumed the corpse to dispose of it, in a proper anti-vampire fashion. And they cut off I think all the limbs and the head, and then burned everything. And, still at the time they didn't understand the difference in decomposition because they were, any exposure to decomposing animals they had was above ground. And so, the different dynamics underground, they didn't understand, when he was bleeding, they didn't really know that was normal. When they put the stake through him, he let out a groan, which they thought, was this vampire groaning, but it was just gases in his body being pushed out the throat. What was it? He probably, they say it took a really long time for his body to burn, like longer than it should have. But of course, maybe the body took on more moisture under the ground. There's a lot of things they just didn't understand that they attributed to malevolence, like a malevolent spirit. So even up to 1591, people genuinely believed that it was a vampire, and they just didn't understand what was going on. Now, I can't explain all the poltergeist activity because apparently it was taken seriously enough that it was a town-wide affair.
Yeah, I think actually that people take this whole vampire thing seriously. I mean, up to recently as well. Because in 2004 in Romania, there was a village, like you're saying about village being involved. They performed like one of these things where they exhumed the body and then, destroyed. Like they destroyed it, burned it, and whatnot. This was in Romania.
(2004), you said?
Yeah, in Romania, it says a group of villagers performed a vampire slaying on a recently buried corpse in the town of Maritino de Sus when a 26-year-old woman began complaining of a mysterious illness.
That's very... you'd expect that sort of witchcraft stuff to happen in the Congo or something, but I guess superstition lives on, even in parts of Eastern Europe. Although, if it was Romania, I don't blame them. They probably take vampires pretty seriously with Transylvania, being part of their history.
Yeah, and they wouldn't look at a vampire like in the romantic sense that other people do, because most of the mythology and whatnot comes from there. These are just corpses that rise from the dead and live off of fucking other people.
It should be pointed out that many of these sort of old didn't actually necessarily think that the corpse had to rise up out of the grave in order to do things. It could be down there and exert its influence in other ways, like through poltergeist activity and such,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually, a common superstition people had when they didn't understand germ theory or anything like that is that dead people would bring the dead, and the disease was a lot more common and a lot more serious. And many of the symptoms of vampirism are similar to tuberculosis, which they called consumption.
When it was in the lungs, they called it consumption, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So coughing up blood, feelings of like having the fluids being retained, that sort of thing. It didn't really get it, so if someone dies, they get tuberculosis from exposure or something like that, and then attribute the symptoms to vampirism because they don't know what it is.
Right. Because they have absolutely no idea what's going on, but there's a thing, going on that has symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So.
So, vampires have pretty interesting, lore going back to where it comes from. But if any of us have not been living under a rock, vampires have taken on a very different mystique in modern times.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, now they're sparkly and they're delicious and they're handsome.
Well, actually, before we get to that, Johnny, I know you like old horror movies.
I love old horror movies.
Got any? I'm sure you've seen like Nosferatu and those kind of old films.
The old vampire movies from the 50s and the 60s are great. Because the vampire is like what?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was in. Go ahead.
Oh, you weren't going to interrupt me with like an actual point?
No.
Okay. No, it was just like the old vampire movies. Like the vampire was the bad guy, even though he, like the protagonist of the movie was still the vampire. He turned into Nosferatu or whatever, and and he killed all the pretty girls in the movie. I like the old vampire stuff from the Eastern European stuff. But once like Bram Stoker and what was the one that Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise were in? What was that movie?
Interview with a Vampire.
Interview with a Vampire. That was like if vampires were faggots, like literally, like. It was literally gay vampirism. So they didn't just vampires were sucking each other's dick. It was really not a good movie.
Wow, that's
it was pretty gay, dude. Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, like two actual Hollywood faggots. That's for another episode.
It's like the most hetero guys I can think of.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen Top Gun, right?
Are we?
Yeah, Top Gun's fucking awesome.
Are we doing the volleyball scene right now? Is that what's gonna happen? We're gonna talk about how gay the volleyball scene is, Adam.
What's gay about?
No, it's hetero as hell.
It's competition between men. It's not gay. It's very traditional.
But apparently, vampires in this movie were.
Oh my god!
What was your favorite vampire movie, Johnny?
My favorite vampire movie?
Yeah, from the old horror movies.
Oh, from the old ones. Shoot, I don't even know. Actually, thinking of like the old black and white, like the Bela Lugosi stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I off the top of my head, I can't think of one. That I just know Bela Lugosi was the original Dracula, and he was probably better than most of these modern Draculas. Can you name?
I thought.
Go ahead.
I thought you were gonna say Robert Pattinson.
That's
was your favorite vampire.
Who?
Robert Pattinson.
He did some movies. They were pretty scary movies. They're good stuff, though.
Look into him, dude.
I'm gonna. I don't know who that is. Link that in the chat. I don't know. I feel like I'm being trolled right now, and I don't like it.
No, he did. Like what, 4 vampire movies?
I'm talking about
a couple decades.
No, he did 4 vampire movies. Yeah, they were pretty They were pretty terrifying. They were really strong, like, and it like
Okay,
went
well,
into the whole thing, you know.
Link it in the chat, and I'll look them up. I'll watch them.
All right.
So what about tying in vampires into other European stuff, like, you know, Jews?
Are you saying Jews are white?
No, I'm saying Jews are vampires.
You're saying Jews are European? I'm going to kill you.
I'm saying Jews are vampires.
Yeah, okay, well, I can agree with that at least.
Yeah. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, you were saying about you were talking about Nosferatu, and you mentioned Bela Lugosi's Dracula and whatnot. Bela Lugosi in that movie, actually, there's like a shift like before and after World War II, and I can't put my finger on why that would be, but there's a lot of anti-Semitism in these vampire movies that are pre-World War II. Like in Nosferatu, Count Orlok, there's a lot of scenes in that movie where they like focus in on his nose, and you know his clothes that he wears are like you know fitted to really accentuate his lack of like a normal muscular body.
Interesting.
You know, he has the bushy eyebrows and whatnot. Bela Lugosi in the Dracula movie actually goes as far to wear a 6-pointed star around his neck. And, you know, the aversion to crosses. Yeah.
Yeah, he totally does.
The aversion to crosses. That's something that only happens with Jews. Like, even in American immigration history, we have the people coming into Ellis Island that wouldn't sign their name with an X, because the X looked like a cross, so they signed it in a circle. Those people were Jews.
There's also, of course, the blood libel, which ties directly
well,
into
of course.
the blood sucking.
Of course, yeah. We'll get into that in a second, but like the circle...
Fun fact about the circle. Oh, I think you're about to finish it.
I'm about to finish it. Is the large circle is called a keikel, and the small circle is called a kaikala. So that's where the term kike comes from. It's not anything really, you know, it's not really anything that's bad. It's just one of those words that they themselves used, and they don't want us using it because it makes them sound bad. But yes, kike comes from kaikala, which is the circle that the Jews signed at Ellis Island with, because they didn't want to be associated with Christ and the cross, which was the X. Wow. Only Jews.
Yeah. Talk about petty, dude.
Right? Right? Yeah. That was one of my favorite Sam Haidt videos, where he was at the Boston thing, and somebody said, "It's the kikes," and this Jew with the American flag around his neck gets all mad. He's like, "You can't say that, you know?" And Sam Haidt's like, "Oh, no, we can say that, because the Jews actually use the word kike. It was actually keikel." And he says it, and he's all like, in a small letter was keikel. And he's all, keikala, keikala, keikala. And every time he says keikala, the Jew flinches. And he's like, It's fucking hilarious. he says, every time he says, he's doing this thing with like the left hand, the right hand, the left hand, the right hand. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, you know, like, keikala, 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 keikala. And you can just see him like doing the hand, and the Jew is just like, like he was physically being harmed by the word keikala, which is his own fucking word from his own country.
Yeah, well, dude, you're talking about people who are ashamed to be called out just for what they are. Like, these people don't even want to like have people know that they're Jews.
You know what? When people say you're white, I go, yes, I am. When people go, you're Jewish, they go, oh God, shush, just don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
There has to be. Is there nothing? Is there nobody on the planet that thinks that's wrong? Or is it just me and my white supremacist friends? Speaking of white supremacists, I am officially, according to the Anti-Defamation League, on the list of white supremacists in the United States. Just have to say,
congratulations.
Oh,
dude.
We forgot to mention that website that liked our Sandy Hook episode.
Oh, wait,
yeah.
Even better. We're getting to that. I was gonna start off the second hour with that, but okay. If you want to know, no. I would really like to thank. I'd like to thank the people at angrywhitemen.org. Like, dude, we're angry white men. Like, literally. Like, this is like you wrote a blog for us. This is great. Thanks for listening
to the show so much.
Yeah, glad. Yeah, thanks for listening. You guys are awesome. Thanks for giving us press. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we got a huge boost. I checked the YouTube numbers after that article came out, and
I don't
they
believe
were.
that. Let's not lie to these poor people.
No, shut up, Scott. They need to know. They need to know. They need to know. They need to know that angrywhitemen.org are our biggest fans. And we really appreciate them listening.
Our biggest fans, I have no doubt, but like no one's reading their fucking blog. Let's be real.
Is that blog that said that?
They might. They said that we were talking about obscure conspiracy theories. That I actually said that the children of Sandy Hook faked their own death, which is not what I said. What I said was
the idea that the kids are like the ones faking their death.
Yeah. They need to really, you know what, guys? You did good. You really got us some publicity, but you need to pay better attention when I'm talking, apparently. So listen to what I'm saying.
Whoever's doing their graphics, they did a really good job on your photo.
Dude, that's literally the best picture of me. Plus Matrix artifacting, like literally, like what?
I'm actually not. I'm not taking the piss here. Like I really think they did great on that.
And it was a great picture.
Yeah. If they want to design one of our T-shirts or something, I'll send them a free T-shirt.
I would totally. They get a free T-shirt. Actually, their whole team can get a free T-shirt. Just send us.
I won't even say that it was them. Like they can just. Send it and we'll say it was a listener.
Yeah. They obviously listen. They obviously like us. I mean, like, why would you listen that long if you don't like somebody?
Anyway, you just have to admit it to yourself.
I don't know.
Anyways, yeah, that's some weird Jewish shit. Anyways, thank you, angrywhitemen.org, for listening to our podcast and giving us such great press. We appreciate it. It's great. Thanks. We're gonna be putting that in our show notes so people can look at your blog. So thanks again, angrywhitemen.org.
So do you want me to go on a little bit more about the Jews and the vampires?
Yes, let's talk about Jews and vampires for a while.
So I was saying about that pre and post war like shift in the way people view these things. Like since World War II, there's been a slow romanticization of these of vampires and whatnot. Mm-hmm. They went from being like terrifying to now,
terrifying in like Twilight.
Yeah, like in the early 90s we had Lost Boys with fucking
Don't you talk shit on Lost Boys.
Oh, I'm not talking shit on it, but it's like on the way to Twilight.
They're only noodles
from where they were.
They're only noodles, Michael. You're eating maggots. How do they taste? Like literally, one of the most disgusting things in any movie ever was when they had the white kid who's now. Oh shit, did I get bit by a vampire? What's going on here? And all of a sudden, he's eating Chinese food with a bunch of vampires, and oh shit, it's maggots. Total mindfuck.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was another thing, like vampires, they are said to have had, like, since the Bram Stoker thing, they're like trying to say that they're like charming.
Yeah.
And, they'll be able to like hypnotize you, like, kind of, you know what I mean? Like he would do these things and like not see like he didn't see the maggots at first. He thought he was genuinely eating Chinese food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, implying
what?
Yeah.
Implying he wasn't eating maggots as Chinese food.
No, he was totally eating maggots. Yeah, no.
No, implying the Chinese food wasn't just maggots to begin with.
Oh. Oh, okay, fair enough. God damn
I
it.
ordered a number 6 instead of a number 5. Fuck.
But you're maggots, yeah.
Speaking of the hypnotism thing, or like the charm that vampires have, that kind of ties in with this whole black-eyed kids thing. Do you guys know about that?
No.
No.
Holy shit.
It's been a thing that's popped up on the internet, I'd say, in the last 10 or 15 years.
Did you guys just hear a whole bunch of metal music?
No.
Okay,
I did
good.
not.
No.
That was just in my headphones. Holy cow. Okay.
Hopefully, it didn't make it on the recording somehow.
No, it didn't. It probably did.
What metal music were you hearing?
It was the
Straight from the path.
the break music for tonight.
Oh.
Yeah,
It probably
anyway,
went
these
in
black-eyed
because it was
kids-
on my side of the voice meter, so it was probably in there. So I apologize, but that's a teaser for tonight's break music. There you go.
Anyway, these black-eyed kids, basically it's kids that will knock on your door, and people post these stories on the internet saying it supposedly really happened to them. And what'll happen is the person will open the door, and the kids will be like, "Hey, can we use your phone?" And usually the people are about to be like, "Yeah, come on in, I'll let you use my phone." And they'll look at their eyes, and they'll notice that their whole eye is just black. And as soon as they notice that, usually these kids will have their demeanor change. They'll start to get really aggressive about it, like, "Hey, let us in, let us in," and get real like pissed off about it. And in pretty much every story, the person says, "No, fuck off," and they close the door, and that's basically that. No idea what happens if you do let them in, but the fact that no one has let them in, as far as we know, probably says,
Dave's talked about it.
Yeah,
exactly.
no, I think we talked about this on the Men in Black episode about the black-eyed kids.
I was actually thinking about the same thing, the Men in Black story, when I was hearing it.
Well, it's similar to vampires, though, in that they have to be invited in. But there's also that issue of personal charm, where for whatever reason you don't know the vampire is a vampire right away.
Yeah, well, they'll like they like want to play off of your weaknesses and whatnot, so they'll like go after that.
I have read, and I can't. It's not one of those things you can't really confirm, but I've read that was something that people would tell their children, basically, hey, watch out, vampires. They have to ask permission before they can come in, and the idea was basically just to tell kids like not to teach them about stranger danger. Pretty much.
Don't let weird people into the house.
Yeah, and so basically it's like, hey, even if this guy seems cool and he says some nice stuff, it's hard to convince a kid like, hey, there's bad people out there, but if you're like, that's a freaking vampire, it's going to be accomplish the same thing, and it's a lot easier to like scare the shit out of a kid that way.
Boy, he gonna suck your blood. Don't you let him in.
Interesting.
You let him in, you doofus.
But yeah, like I said, it's one of those things you can't really confirm, but it seems reasonable.
Speaking of like having to let them in, there was actually a movie called Let Me In. And in that movie, the vampire is like in the body of a little girl.
Yeah, that was
and
really
it's
fucking
like
gross.
Yeah, it's fucking. I'm sorry. It's like portrayed in the movie that she's like with that older man.
It's really disturbing. Yeah, it's.
I wonder who was behind making that movie. But
well, I want to say they were Northern Europeans.
It was a remake.
It was a remake made by some Northern Europeans, maybe some Swedes. No, they were Jews. They were Jews. They were made by Jews. Okay, I can't even fucking pretend it was Jews. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I just found that was pretty disturbing.
It's the kikes. So we have vampires in Eastern European history. all throughout history. Why do we think that Eastern European history is where the vampire theory comes from?
So
Is that
gloomy
that
place?
Well, is that because that's where Jews come from, or is that like Eastern European?
You know, I actually
Romania,
hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there was an article that I.
That's where the Khazars are from, right?
They're more towards like northern
Caucasus.
Iran, like the Caspian Sea. Yeah, Caspian Sea,
Okay.
Caucasus, all that.
Okay. So Jews aren't vampires. Okay. According to Scott.
Well,
Jews aren't vampires.
Oh, that's not what I said.
No,
We're gonna
I read an article.
We're gonna make it so you said that though.
God damn it.
I read an article though saying about how vampires have been used through the centuries as a metaphor for it's just like anti-Semitism. It's just an anti-Semitic metaphor. I read this at
vampires are anti-Semitic, or the anti-vampire is anti-Semitic.
Well, I mean, that article that I posted in the foreword, where they were actually like saying they're trying to say like Jews is the real vampires because they're marginalized.
Yeah,
They're also talking.
There's the lie. Yeah.
They're also talking about vampire stories from like back before Hollywood glamour, and it was just like totally disgusting, and like it was like a corpse,
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's totally disgusting what these people do to society and whatnot. Like the vampire leeches off the host, and these people leech off of society, like that will host them or have them, not expel them. And they hypnotize people through like mass media, which could be like their way of charming people. Ties right into like how a vampire uses their charm to get you let your guard down.
Also, let's be honest, Jews have that like weird Jewish guru thing going on because the rabbis.
Where they're just the expert on everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's knowledge
They're
that's
capable-
passed down through the
Yeah, it's
knowledge
like they're able to
passed
just
down.
talk so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all knowledge, that's passed down through the centuries and whatnot through Jewish religion. Well, vampires
Right,
acquire their
right,
knowledge
right.
through their immortality.
Huh. It's almost as if they created this thing that is actually them. Weird.
Good morning. I hate Jews.
Well, it's just. I mean, these are like these are coincidences,
Oh, are they coincidences, Larry?
Yeah,
You are officially on the non-coincidence
They gotta
coincidence
be.
show of the alt-right. The Paranormies believe not in coincidence. Adam, tell them about coincidences.
I was just messing.
It's not real. There's never been a coincidence. That's a myth.
That's right.
There's no coincidences, you dummy.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Listen, there's no moon,
Coincidence
you
are-
dummy. By James Fetzer. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah, coincidences are a hoax, you big dummy.
that's right. No, I mean, okay. So there's coincidences. Oh, look, I was thinking about Larry, and there's Larry at the bank. Oh, hi, how's it going? Yeah, no, yeah. But when you're talking about, nation building type coincidences or nation destroying type coincidences, there are no such thing. There really isn't. There's
Yeah, and I mean the entire vampire mythology. You could it's literally personified.
yeah, by every Jew ever, including Laura Loomer or Ben Shapiro.
Shots fired.
Hey.
Laura, who?
Laura, the Khazar milker broad that was all over our guy the other day in that one video. She's
like associated with like Proud Boys and shit, and she was recently.
Yeah,
she was like broke up that like Donald Trump play of Caesar.
yeah. She's a kike though, so whatever. She still gets ovened. I don't care.
Agreed.
Knows people.
This is TRS. This isn't Proud Boys Network. This is This is the right stuff.biz where we throw kikes in the oven. Anyways.
Well, dude, if you're alt-right, if you're a Proud Boy and you're alt-right, you're not a Proud Boy.
Shut up, Gavin.
From
Whatever, Gavin. I mean, I'm not a fag like you, dude. I'm not putting a dildo in my butt to prove how not racist I am.
You know that guy gave himself gonorrhea in the throat one time by eating his own
soup? Did. You know what? You know what? As much as I love Trent Holmgren and his suicidal, what's the segment called? Solidarity. Thank you. On the show, I will never forgive him for him telling me that.
Yeah. Right? Oh my God.
Literally, we were friends, dude. We were friends, and now.
God, he read that book, so I didn't have to.
Yeah, I'm glad you read it, but you told us about it. Like, God damn it! All right. Anyways, let's get back to vampires and Jews. I know I don't have to repeat myself, but I did. So the blood sucking. The not being able to be out in the daylight. What do you guys think? What do you guys think that has to do with esoteric type stuff? Like why does the sun affect the vampire like that?
Well, I mean, you see, like maybe the sun. Just a thought. Maybe the sun it makes vampires recoil the same as a Jew just being known as a Jew makes the Jew recoil. When you expose these things, the exposure is not
the daylight exposes everything about them.
Also, technically, like in a more esoteric sort of sense that you're talking about, the day is also viewed as sort of the paternal thing. It's a life-giving force, and the vampire is the inversion of that.
That's fair.
Yeah, the blood is the life, and when the blood leaves the body, they die, and so vampires are trying to attain immortal life by just getting, when the blood goes out, you die. So when the blood goes back in, well,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they feast on the blood of the host, but they have a cursed immortality, and you could say that the Jews have a cursed existence.
Yeah, nobody has finished the job up to this point. Titus didn't finish the job. Hitler never even tried.
Hitler.
Well, I mean,
tried.
they've used that to their benefit. They've made a lot of money out of the Holocaust industry.
True.
Now, on the subject of the sunlight, I have absolutely no idea if this is actually explored, but one thing I could immediately think of is that Christian symbols were very often used to expel vampires or damage them. The cross, some kind of wooden crucifix, was very often in any vampire hunter's kit because, well, one, the blood of the blood is very sacred to Christianity, and so Christ's blood has this symbolic power against this blood-sucking demon. But Christ is the light, and the sun is kind of the greatest light on earth. Well, not on earth, obviously, but in terms of it is the number one power source on earth. Most of the light on earth comes from the sun. It has this life-giving power, like Death was saying, and Christ is the light in the Christian mythos. So all these things working together seems pretty reasonable that vampires wouldn't be too fond of it.
Well, it's not even just a Christian mythos. The sun as a deity is a very, very common mythical feature.
Yeah, right. But just in a specific, because the Christian context is so important to the vampire one. I think that's the way you could make that connection.
Okay.
But I haven't pored over the journals of priests and doctors of history and these types of people who are vampire hunters. Because vampires were taken very seriously, like we talked about earlier. There were professional vampire hunters.
There really were, yeah. There was an entire industry that were vampire hunters. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you have like the industry like of vampire hunters. You could look at that as like, since fucking vampires aren't real, the industry of vampire hunters is the same as the Holocaust industry, since that's not real either. Mm-hmm. So people are just making money off of shit that doesn't exist.
So both the vampires are Jews and the vampire hunters are Jews?
Wait a minute. The vampires. That's now. Wait a second. That's just crazy talk.
Classic case of Jews selling a solution to a problem they created.
Classic.
Textbook, indeed.
Go on about this for a minute, Adam.
Well, just like it's a very common thing, just in Jewish practice. I guess you could take, economics is a pretty common one. There was a housing bubble that crashed, and you know what? Never mind. This is ridiculous.
I don't know of any actual examples of what he's talking about, but there is that Twilight Zone episode of the Secret, not the Secret, the whatever that potion was, and then the Chaser. Yes. Right, he gives that guy that love potion, and then he gives it to that woman. She becomes obsessed with him, and he is so frustrated by the obsession that he buys like a poison from the guy and gives it to her.
Right. Yep. He just he kills his thing with the All right, so let's we're in about 1 hour. Let's regroup. We'll come back with some more concrete vampire stories. How about that?
All right.
You guys have more vampire stuff to talk about after the break?
Don't know.
All right. So
I read all the stuff in the thread, but I don't know if I could go for another hour on it. Maybe in total we can.
Wow. Okay. So we're going to listen to
some things left about vampires yet.
There's so much stuff. Are you fucking kidding me? It's vampires.
I'm just kidding, dude.
It's fucking vampires. Okay, so we're going to talk. Okay, we're going to listen to this song. This is Vulgar. This is Blood and Soil, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes.
imagine is defending your people from your enemies. Invest in your future, invest in your children, invest in yourself. We have a war to fight. We can't win this war alone. We can only win this war together.
All right, everybody, we're back. This is still the Paranormies presents the Ahnenerbe Hour. I am still Johnny Monoxide, and tonight we have, oh, that's right, we had a little bit of a panel change during the break. We still have Mr. Larry Ridgeway with us from the Alc-Right Rises. We also have Mr. Scott Taylor from the Paranormies. We don't have Adam and Death. They are not pranking universities with racialist flyers, but you know, they wouldn't do something like that.
If they were, I wouldn't want to say it on a popular podcast.
That's right. If they were doing something like that, I wouldn't want to. Yeah, they're.
Well, I guess
they
we're
wouldn't
not
be
popular, so it's okay.
That's right. That's right. We're the 5th most popular paranormal podcast on the right stuff.biz.
One day we'll get there.
Yeah, one day we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. Actually, speaking of getting there, we kind of sort of already got there. We have fans now. We have this really cool blog because it's called Angry White Men, which is funny because we're angry white men. Isn't that great? They're writing
so
about
they must be kindred spirits. Like, do they kind of have the same viewpoints as us? I assume.
I would think so. I would think so. They printed an article about our Sandy Hoax episode, where apparently I said that I thought all the children faked their own deaths because, you know, kids, because that's what I said. But they got a little bit of
be very good fans because they didn't even understand the point of the episode. Like, no one's saying that the kids are faking their death.
Right.
Like, it's not like they got tired of being rock stars and, like, you know, they live as like anonymous gas station attendants now. They're not fucking Elvis.
Right. Or they moved to the Dominican Republic to be no. But you guys, I mean, you know, but hey, you know what, guys? Just keep listening. You'll get it eventually. It's great though. Thanks for the amazing picture of me. The Matrix filter you put over that picture is sweet. That is my new favorite avatar.
I unironically think that's a really good job they did. Like, I know we're like making fun of them, but honestly, if they want to send in a T-shirt or something, I'm not joking. You can get a T-shirt from us. We don't care. Yeah, we'll send it to a PO box if you're.
You send us a good piece of art that, you know, like, and we'll put that. Speaking of which, we're still running our little contest here. Design the Paranormies T-shirt, Goyam. And so far we have one. It's super badass, super sick, isn't it, Larry?
I really like it. It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
I saw it on Facebook the other day.
Wasn't it sweet, dude? I'm like, the first one was great, and I was like, the little thing. It's like, you know, some people might not wear it. And he made 2 little adjustments to it. It's the most amazing thing. It's got, if you're a Paranormies fan, it's got, you know, icons.
It's got all of it, really.
Yeah, it's got all of it. It's literally, it's encompassed what we've done on this show so far, and I like that shirt.
It's like
a lot.
Greatest hits in the form of a T-shirt.
Yeah,
I think.
and for all of you Goyam who are still going to try, CJ Vandal, I'm talking to you. You got your work cut out for you. It's a seriously good job. The Goy that did it is definitely getting. We're printing this shirt regardless of whether or not it wins. So,
well,
fuck yeah,
I
I
gotta
want
say
it.
there's still room for winners because I figure we do like at least probably 3 designs. So,
yeah. We have our. Well, of course, we're going to do the Paranormies logo because we can't not do that. We're gonna do this one and maybe 1 or 2 others. You guys got it. You artistic Goyam, get on your Illustrator or whatever program it is that you use and make us a shirt.
Especially the guys who run the Angry White Men blog, please.
Yeah. You guys definitely from Angry White Men. Send us an idea for a shirt because I mean, as much as I would love to have my face out there on everybody's chest. I mean, I'm not that narcissistic. I don't even think Seventh Son is that narcissistic. He might be, but he would wear a shirt with his own face on it, but not me.
Well, wouldn't we all?
Yeah.
I mean, I would wear a shirt with my face on it.
Would you wear a shirt with your face on it? Would you? Yeah, but would you wear? Would you wear?
House? I wouldn't.
Yeah, but would you wear
the
the face of somebody else? I mean, other than like. I have the TRSlemania shirt that's got like the Macho Man Hitler. That's a different thing though.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't. No, probably not.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't wear like
kind of gay.
Yeah, you wouldn't wear a shirt with like Adam's face on it, right?
Well, maybe Adam's face, but
well, actually, I kind of already do. I have. Well, it's not really Adam. I'm sorry. It's the likeness of the resemblance that Wig Buttles has to what's his face there? We just did the episode on
H.P. Lovecraft.
H.P. Lovecraft. Why do I keep forgetting that? Yeah. The likeness that Wig Buttles has to H.P. Lovecraft. So I basically, when I wear that H.P. Lovecraft shirt that Oktoberfaust sent me, I'm basically wearing Wig Buttles' profile picture. So
I would wear a Jim Fetzer face.
Oh, I would wear a Jim Fetzer face where it just said, like my blog. Yeah.
Do you think he'll sue us if we like start printing out shirts with his likeness?
I would love him to do that just to get a reaction from the man, so he actually responds to us, and we have him on the show, even whether it's just to yell at us, you know what I mean, for using his stuff. But I'd like to get him on.
We'll be like, look, we'll stop printing them if you come on the show.
Well, I mean, other than the time that he came on already,
Yeah, the time. Yeah, because he's already done it once. That's true.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I thought he was on already.
He was on.
Yeah, I thought I heard.
He doesn't. But he doesn't respond to any actual forms of. He just magically showed up in the Discord one day. I don't even know how he got an invite.
Well, you said that you mailed him, like actually mailed him.
We physically mailed him things to his house. I'm pretty sure Scott paid for a carrier pigeon delivery at one point.
Yeah, I did. He was trying to click the links. Like he said, he was trying to click the links on the papers that we mailed. But I had to explain that's not how the internet works.
Yeah. I mean, for a person, he's still on dial-up. Anyway, so the T-shirts. We'll why not? Fuck it. We'll put Jim Fetzer on a shirt.
That's preposterous.
Yeah.
Preposterous.
Holy crap! It was William Luther Pierce showed up for a second. Like, I love Larry's William Luther Pierce. For those of you who don't know all of the podcasts on the right stuff, Larry Ridgeway is co-host of a show called The Alc-Right Rises, in which I'm usually like the 11th mic, on every 15th episode. Yeah, I'm joking. I've been on that show more times than I've been on, I think, the show now, actually. So
you've been on that show more than we've had anybody else on.
All right,
you and Charlie.
I've not listened to it. I'm sorry.
It's a drunk posting fun time where we've said we talk about stuff. We talk about wood.
Yeah,
ways of dealing with wood, and
combine nationalism.
Understandable.
Yeah, have a nice day. So back to the shirts. Sorry. So we're gonna be doing the shirts. We want to get a bunch of designs so that we can pick from them. So all you artistic goyams, send us more pictures. Also, and guys, Angry White Men, please keep up the good writing. That was a good piece, but you got to listen harder or listen more or something or take notes.
Yeah. I'm like torn because like I'm like, oh, they didn't mention me, but it's like, it's probably good. But
Yeah. Also, speaking of not getting a mention, you didn't get a mention on the ADL's list of.
Well, I certainly didn't expect that.
Yeah,
like
right.
That's for important people. But I would have thought that they would have mentioned,
the other people, the Angry White Man. Yeah.
Not necessarily me, but like they make it seem like it's just you doing the show by yourself.
Right, and I feel like you guys are not getting enough credit. So
no, we carry you. Like we do all the work.
Exactly. This is not even a lie. This isn't even close to being a lie.
Your job is to be the face.
That's right. I go out there and I go, "Hey, I'm Johnny. I'm the guy from the Paranormies." They're like, "Oh, you're the guy that does that great show." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't even pay attention half the time." I'm kidding. I pay attention. No, we have a great dynamic here at the Paranormies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had, but I made the ADL's list of who to hate in the alt-right, like right up there with other no names like Matt Forney, and Colin Liddell, and a lot of big names like Mike Enoch, Anglin, and Spencer, Jared Taylor. The
Matt
list
Forney's
is
pretty big.
Well, he's
Forney's
large.
A huge loser.
He's very big. He's a big loser who goes to the Philippines and pays to fuck women.
But guys, he's one of the major thought leaders in the alt-right, he says, right?
He's one of the major fart walkers. I mean, I don't know about thought leaders. But Heimbach, speaking of, Heimbach made the list. Matt Parrott.
Oh my God, no way.
They started the TWP and they did the white student union at Townsend State. Which was
I think Heimbach's a way bigger name than Forney, though. Like at least
I like
Heimbach
for sure. I like Matt.
They've been bitching about Heimbach for years.
Yeah, I like Matt. I like Matt a lot. I got to meet him in Tennessee. He's a really great guy.
I thought.
But anyways, yeah.
Funny,
So
the list, it's like, well, it's just like all these other people. Do all these things, like they organize political parties, and then they got you on there because you have like a podcast about ghosts.
That's not why they have me on there.
You're talking about them spooks.
I do all the shit in Berkeley. I do all the stuff with Nathan.
I like to imagine they just really don't like the fact that you have a podcast about ghosts.
I know. Yeah.
Like Art Bell's paying them off.
Art Bell's like, this guy is taking over my spot.
There's competition. They're going to move up to number 4 any day now.
Implying that Art Bell is on the alt-right list of paranormal podcasts. But
he's kind of a libertarian guy, yeah. I think.
No, you know what? I think it's the amount of It's Going Down articles that have been written about me. Just my Berkeley organizing and stuff, and my live streaming I've done for Red Eyes
too, aren't they?
Oh, It's Going Down. They love the alt-right.
Well, you specifically, they really like.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm pretty sure that one of the guys who either reports or records or does something for them is somebody I actually know in real life. And he's an anarchist, and he hates me something fierce because, I used to be this progressive anarchist dude who was like, I was like an Adam Kokesh, like smoke weed and hate the cops. That was 5 years ago. And then Black Lives Matter protests and stuff. Then I finally woke up while being rubber bulleted and fucking beanbagged for these fucking terrorists.
You were at a Black Lives Matter protest?
I was at an anti-cop protest. It wasn't necessarily Black Lives Matter happened to be there. It was before the BLM thing really took off. But it was when that Brian Messerly guy shot Oscar Grant on the BART tracks. On
so
the
wait, so the ADL is putting civil rights leaders like yourself on the hate list? You're
That's
marching
right.
with blacks
That's right.
for equality.
That's right.
Dude.
That's right. Yeah. I was in Berkeley when they marched down to the freeway and laid down in the freeway and on the train tracks and stopped Amtrak and stopped the freeway and stuff. I was like, I ain't doing that shit, but you guys have fun.
Yeah, niggas is crazy.
It wasn't even blacks that were doing it. That's the fucked up part. All right, we're back on a whole other show. We're on another show, and this is not even like the Paranormies anymore at this point.
I'm
Basically,
sorry,
now we're doing a combination of what I do on the show and your show. you know. But it's all good. It's all good. All right, so we're gonna get back into vampires and stuff real quick. We have a couple quick emails I want to read if you guys don't mind. They are in reference to last week's episode PK Man, which I thought was good, man. I really enjoyed that. And after watching the Mishlove videos on PK Man with Georgiani, I actually got into watching some more of his stuff. The Mishlove guy.
His good. Yeah, I like his stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, you know. And he's got a pleasant voice to listen to. Like, it's not like you know, annoying. It's not like listening to Jim Fetzer. All right, so email number 1. G'day, mates. Just wanted to share a story with you after listening to the PK Man episode regarding his ability to make things happen that were beyond his control. Years ago, I worked in a local record shop in my hometown. We did a small trade in secondhand CDs, offering customers trade-ins and then selling the traded CDs in for special secondhand section of the store. All right. I would frequently get customers asking for something unusual, discontinued, or imported that we could not get through our regular channels. So I would take the requests, and if I knew there was no way we could source it, I would ask them if they'd be happy with a secondhand copy. If they were okay with that, I'd say come back in 2 weeks. Invariably, the album they wanted would end up being traded in by some other customer within that 2-week period. I did this for different customers maybe 4 or 5 times over the time I worked there. Unlike PK Man, I never spoke to space intelligences or anything like that. I attributed my ability to having read a book by Richard Bach, author of Jonathan Livingston Seagull, called Illusions: The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah, where he outlines the technique of holding clearly the image of what you desire in your mind to help bring it into being. I would do this with the CD the customer requested and let it go, and it would always come back just like I wanted. I'm much older now and haven't practiced this technique in many years, but another of your shows where you mentioned the holographic or computer simulation universe theories made me think of it again. The idea that because all this is a simulation means that, like Neo in the Matrix, we can bend reality to our will if we concentrate clearly on what we desire. Anyway, that's a sum total of my paranormal experiences in nearly 50 years. I hope it provokes some discussion or at least entertains you and your listeners. I'm going to go concentrate on visualizing a pile of money so I can donate some time in the near future. Keep up the good work. Cheers, Shane. Wow. So today I learned we have a 50-year-old listener.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by that.
And I also learned that people have used mind over matter to make things happen. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, guys? Do you think that's something that maybe he could have helped manifest? Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it's something that simple. I mean, like, hey, someone bring in this album to the record store. Yeah, I think that's totally plausible. Like, I don't know. It seems to me, and this is just kind of my theory about magic or sending requests or whatever you want to call it, is it seems to me that the more plausible it is, the easier it'll get done. Mm-hmm. Like, if I wished for a pile of money to like manifest at my front door tomorrow, it's probably not going to happen. But I mean, something like that where you have thousands of CDs moving in and out of a store and you want a specific one, that's just slightly bending reality. So I don't think it would be that hard to happen. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I think
I totally understand what you're talking about.
The request deviates from like plausibility, the easier it'll get done. But I mean, that could just be random chance as well. So
right, but he seemed to make it sound like these were very specific, weird, like not your average, popular CD.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna ask, are these like commonplace CDs? Is this dude like getting like? Was he hoping he could get the Pat Benatar album or
like? Yeah. Hey, do you have any copies of Sgt. Pepper's? Like,
right? Yeah. Hey, you guys don't have Saint Anger, do you? Yeah.
Oh my God, dude!
Fucking hate that album.
Do you have any Led Zeppelin albums?
We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
Hey, Mama said the way you do.
Yeah, I got this obscure album I'm looking for called Led Zeppelin 4. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Listen, this band called Pearl Jam had an album called 10. Have you heard of it? I don't know.
This Michael Jackson guy.
So I'm really into rock. I'm really, really into rock and roll. So there's this guy. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Kind of a hipster. His name's Elvis. So
They called him the
Presley
king.
or Costello. We have both.
Yeah.
We're a specialty store.
That's right. We have Elvis Presley and Costello. Holy shit, guys! You're not going to believe what I found. All right.
No, but I really do think that's plausible. I think that he's probably. I mean, I don't think he's lying, but I think that there's probably.
No, I mean, and I've done that in my life before. Like, really wanted something or really needed something, and just did the whole wishful thinking and the power of positivity and all that, and made it happen. I mean, it wasn't like, like something like just like levitated, or I've never made anything levitate, but I believe that I have, changed circumstances in my life as well by doing, positive thinking and doing wishing and whatever.
I got a job that way one time. I don't remember if I actually told it on the show or not, but I did some of that sigil shit and got a job like within an hour. So
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think it's definitely something.
Sigil stuff. We've talked to other people about sigil stuff. Do we want to eventually maybe do like a little, maybe a piece on sigil magic?
Yeah, that'd be good. I think we could probably get a lot of material on it.
Yeah, we have listeners too. If you guys
got me thinking.
Don't hurt yourself.
That all this thinking about things manifesting, I might just quit my job and hope that maybe I can find a sweet job doing something involved with white nationalism. That'd be pretty awesome.
It would be cool, except that there's not really a lot of employment in the white nationalist field as of yet.
Oh, I just got to imagine it, dude.
Sorry, we're working on it.
Not yet. Yeah,
we'll get there. All right, so real quick, another email says, just started listening to the newest episode. You're currently talking about how much people love the show, and you guys do. We appreciate it. We love all you guys too. You guys should be proud. You produce great content. Thank you. I wanted to let you know that your show red-pilled my little brother. I listen to podcasts on my Bluetooth speaker, and one day when he was over, he heard your show. He loves it and is a religious listener. Can you give Del, pronounced Del, a shout out on the next episode? It would make his day. Right on. Keep up the good work. And right on. Yeah. Thanks, Del, for listening. And glad we could be of assistance in your journey towards wokeness.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good to know. So thank you, Del, for listening.
Yeah, and thank you, his brother Joe, for sending us that email.
Cool.
Very last email about the PK Man, and regarding the PK Man and the Challenger shuttle. Right before the Challenger was launched, the night was unusually cold. The site was Cape Canaveral, Florida. A team of engineers got together to work on the math and decide if the O-rings would contract due to low temperature. They decided it would be fine and that the seal would hold. Obviously, they were wrong. This is commonly used as an example of groupthink in social psychology courses. Strange that the O-ring would be affected by the weather on of TED affinities. Coincidence? I don't.
Yeah, it is interesting. I get what they were getting at, though.
What's the on of TED affinities mean? I don't under.
Well, I think what they were probably saying, probably one of Ted's affinities. Like he had an affinity for manipulating the weather.
Oh, one of Ted's affinities. Okay, I just completely brain farted. Yes, no, manipulating the weather was one of his things. Yeah, could he have brought the weather down to the point where the O-rings shrank? That is actually, now that I think about it, wow, maybe that's how he did the Challenger. I mean,
yeah, because I know we were talking about that on the episode. We were kind of, like how would he know what to do to a space shuttle? Well, maybe he didn't have to know. Maybe he just brought the weather down and it happened.
Yeah, that was right in the middle of my talking about the where I was conspiracy theorying is what a commenter said about the Challenger. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and we do a show that talks about conspiracy theories. So occasionally, I will conspiracy theory, to use that as a verb.
It's a little out there.
Yeah. What? The fact that the O-ring?
No, I was just making a joke that I don't know why you would be conspiracy theorying.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, it's crazy that the host of the conspiracy theory show, Paranormal Occult, that why he would think weird things. My favorite one is when people are like, the comments that are like, "You don't believe in coincidences? Dude, have you?
It's like, fuck no, dude. What are you talking about?
Where have you been? Where have you been? Like, no.
I believe in coincidences. I just
to a point, yeah. Like, no,
well, it's
but like
just
when
a
we're talking about
rhetorical thing to say we don't believe in a coincidence. Like, it's just it's a guideline. You know, it's not like a hard and fast rule. It's just a rhetorical.
yeah. Well, when we're talking coincidences, like John Podesta's brother having pedophilic art in his apartment, that's not a coincidence. That
Yeah.
Those coincidences we don't believe in. Now, when I say, oh shit, I need to call Scott, and I go to grab my phone and the phone rings and it's Scott. Oh, that's a coincidence. Yes, I believe that happens. Yeah. Now,
that one's kind of out there sometimes too, I think.
really, you don't believe in that kind of coincidence kind of thing? You're
No,
like, I need to call-
I'm saying I think that might be sometimes more than a coincidence.
Oh, that it's actually like mind over matter type PK Man ish
Maybe. I don't know.
possibility,
I think
maybe,
it's possible.
or maybe synchronicity and connectivity throughout the universe.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, saying you don't believe in coincidences is just a rhetorical device. It doesn't mean that I drop my spoon and an airplane blows up on TV and I think that, my spoon did it or something like that. Like,
Well,
that's called
according
obsessive
to-
compulsive disorder.
According to
Well,
the
I'm
Matrix,
not
there
the
is no
PK
spoon.
man.
So
I'm not the PK man. Like, I can
That's right.
I can probably have some coincidences in my life.
right. All right. So coincidentally, we're gonna get back into vampires. So we talked earlier about Christianity and vampires and Jews and vampires. Larry, was it you that posted that the Tribe That Bites article?
Yeah, from the Jewish Daily Forward.
Yeah, what did you think about that?
I don't really know what to make of it. They were pretty much just saying that, Jews is the real vampires.
Right.
That,
Well, it started
they've been marginal.
They go back and they
You
go
were
all the way
saying?
back to Genesis, like Esau, that the vampire theory might actually come from Esau, where Jacob and Esau, Esau sees his brother and runs towards him and embraced him, and he fell on his neck and kissed him, like he could have bitten him. But actually, I think later on, they said that there's a Jew, Louis Ginsburg. He wrote. In the vehemence of his rage against Jacob, Esau vowed that he would bite him dead with his mouth and suck his blood. So, that's...
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, to be a vampire is just, to feed off of, something that comes back to feed off of, like, one's essence. And, I mean, blood is life, because, like, that's, how, like, back in the day they used to look at it.
Well, it is.
Well, it's still true. You still need blood,
Yeah, I mean,
can't survive without it. Yeah. But yeah, so...
But yeah, I think it's just... That first part, there was a debate as to what they meant by kiss, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, because there was the two words, what is it? Neshika and Neshchika. One is with a CH and one is with a KH. One is kiss and one is bite. So...
Well, it almost sounds more like bite, because, if he's talking about killing him, like...
Right.
I think you can kiss someone on the neck.
Right. But
Actually,
the translation when the Ginsburg kike was the one that wrote the little description. It's not actually in the Bible that it says that in the Bible it says. Or the Parsha, which is part of Genesis. And Esau ran toward him and embraced him, and he fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. So, but the translation of the word "kissed" is possibly again the Neshikah and Neshiccha. So the H and the A are swapped, and there's a C instead of a K. So.
I think
Like
you
they said,
actually can kill someone by kissing them. I saw the other day there was some news article about some kid in Mexico, and his girlfriend gave him a hickey, and the blood clot broke off and went to his brain, and he had a stroke and died.
Whoa!
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
And those
How
Latinos
random
always
is that?
love their hickeys, dude. I always see fucking. I see it all the time. Like the young, like the 18-year-old Mexican laborers come on my job and shit. This is like the framers or the fucking sheetrockers or whatever. They're always the lowest end of the trades because white people are too good to paint. White people are too good to do sheetrock. Anyways, this 18, 19-year-old, which we're not. Trust me, you're not. You should be doing that instead of writing fucking stupid apps for the fucking iPhone. Anyways, I see these 18, 19-year-old fucking Mexican kids come in and they got fucking hickeys all over their neck because their Latina girlfriends like doing that shit. It's fucking gross.
Well, you know why that is, right?
Yeah, because
they have no shame, dude.
Well, they have no, yeah. They don't have
no, I was going to say this. Yeah.
They don't.
That shit's cool to them, dude.
It is, yeah. Look at my girl left my, whatever, it's disgusting. It's yeah, and you know what? Good. I hope a blood clot goes to their brain. Their 85 IQ brains.
It can happen.
Let's get some more of that. But
yep. So anyway, so you have Jacob and Esau with according to some, the original legend of the vampire. Jews were transformed from the victims of the night prowlers to the actual bloodsuckers themselves because of something called the blood libel. Right? The Jews drink blood. They mix it into their Passover matzah. The Passover matzah, yeah. I mean, like, historically, vampires were symbolic of any persecuted group, and legends about them grew around whatever images the culture had to present. So, the Jews who were, subjugated, because they're always subjugated. The poor Jews are always in captivity. You notice that? The poor Jews are always
strange.
It's strange how coincidental.
Yeah.
But yeah, but they always do this thing called the blood libel, and they always get kicked out 109 times, 89 locations. They've been removed.
It's 109 times. There's a lot of anti-Semitism out there. This is just uncalled.
Right. But it's always for things like usury or the blood libel, and you would think that these different locations that are on 4 different continents, it must be that the anti-Semitism spreads because people are just naturally anti-Semitic. It couldn't be that Jews are shit people, but
yeah, it's never as a result of the way they behave, dude. Never.
Right. So this is okay. So now you have a group who's parasitic, feasting off a host just like a vampire does, right? And they're being cast out all the time because of these things they do, like blood libel, like suck blood. They literally, it's called masopribe. I can never pronounce it, but where
are you talking about the circumcision thing?
Oral suction circumcision. If that's not a vampiric thing,
that's fucking...
If you can't tell me that that's not a vampire maneuver, like, oy vey, I can't help it. It's the first blood of the baby. I gotta suck it. It's like, it's the most pure. They're literally, they are literally the Skeksis.
So physically revolting.
They're literally the Skeksis from the Dark Crystal. Remember the Skeksis? Hey, Gelfling! Right? And they...
Looks like Gelfling, smells like Gelfling. Fucking
exactly.
Olgra.
Yeah, oh God. Yeah, and what do? They suck the essence out of the younglings by putting them in front of a thing that's like a television. It sucks their essence out of their eyes. It's a little bit different than, like putting the penis in the mouth. But you can't tell me, I don't care who you are. I don't take care who you are. You cannot look me in my face and tell me that oral suction circumcision is not a form of vampirism. You can't.
Well, dude,
it's a form of fucking something.
It's a what?
I'm sorry.
I said it's a form of something, all right.
Yeah.
Fucking baby dick.
Yeah, I hate to take it back for just a second, dude, but you mentioned the TVs and the essence and the vampirism and the Dark Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that for a second, dude. The Skeksis are sucking the life essence out of those people with televisions.
Right.
That's how Jews are like sucking the essence. They're brainwashing people having them let their guards down to allow this stuff to happen.
I've picked that up. I picked that up a long time ago. That's the reference. And that was the movie that
was right before Henson died, wasn't it?
It was literally the last thing he did before he died. Weird how when
Coincidence.
again coincidence. The Paranormies think not.
Didn't Hansen coincidentally die of a blood infection? Do you guys know if he did?
This is why we need an intern. Again, okay, we're gonna have another. No, we need an actual intern.
Right
Scott, we need an intern. We're not doing that. We're gonna get an intern.
Well, he did. I just looked it up. He died.
It was a blood
of,
infection, right? Yeah.
It was streptococcal toxic shock syndrome. TSS,
Isn't toxic shock syndrome
weird.
what women get from tampons?
Yeah, they get it from tampons because of blood infections, though. Basically, it's just.
Oh, okay. So it's buzz. Okay. I thought. Okay, so he didn't die
It's
of a
just
tampon
leaving
infection.
a tampon in for 2 days or however long they do it is a really good way to have an infection. But yeah.
Yeah, it's gross. Just bleed.
Yeah.
Like literally,
Don't
I mean,
say
it's natural. Shut up. It's just not. You know what? Like, I'm not.
I don't support free
Dude,
bleeding on the
no.
I don't support
Okay.
free bleeding either. But like, I also look. I'm not gonna like. Why would you keep it? Why would? No, you know what? If you're dumb enough or gross enough to keep a tampon in for 2 days, you deserve toxic shock, and I don't want you in the gene pool.
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
Well, yeah, but I don't think the alternative is free.
Just not wear them.
No, but like, if you ran out and you're like camping and you can't get to one for 2 days, don't leave a tampon in there. It's fine. You know what I mean?
Shove a leaf in there or something.
Right. There's plenty of pine cone. Put a pine cone in there. You'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, this is like fucking
You
home
gotta-
economic tip on the
You got to
Paranormies.
do something because we're talking about vampires, and then you're advocating like just leaving blood trailing everywhere.
this is true. Don't leave blood trails because
worst
I mean, God
anti-
knows fairies, the fairies in the woods that do the 411 missing thing will
Them,
probably
I'm
get
talking
them
about vampires.
get them a vampire on the.
Worst
Yeah.
anti-vampire advice ever. Like, yeah, just leave a blood trail.
Yeah.
They won't notice.
They won't notice. They don't have infrared vision to pick up the blood on the leaves as you're dripping past. Yeah. All right. God. How do we get on toxic shock? Oh, Jim Henson. Yeah. Man. Shit post.
This has been all over the place. This has been a fun second hour.
This is a great second hour. Okay, so vampires, yeah, and Skeksis. I mean, it's just another movie reference to what I believe is a Goyim telling us what vampires are. Which now the Skeksis would be more of what we'd call a psychic vampire. And I want to get into those. But not right this second. Let's talk about some other vampires real quick. We had
Okay, well, one thing I know we mentioned it before we started recording, but one thing I don't think is directly related to anything Jewish with vampires is garlic.
yes.
Where'd that whole thing come from?
I actually think that, I mean, do you guys know? I read about that.
I have okay, I'm going to take a guess, and you tell me if I'm right. But my guess is that garlic is a antibacterial kind of thing, and maybe like they used it to ward off disease. That's my guess.
Yeah, I had read something like that, and I also read that it overpowers the scent of a corpse.
Oh yeah, that makes sense too. Okay. Well,
So-
didn't they? Was those fucking plague doctors or whatever? They have the big nose cones that are stuffed with like various perfumes because they thought that back in the Middle Ages they thought that scents were what caused disease, like bad smells. So the plague doctors would have the big long nose cones, and they were filled with pleasant things so that they would not smell anything nasty while they were working on all these plague bodies. So
Getting the plague themselves.
yeah. So I don't know. I guess that's where garlic comes from. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
and,
don't. I don't know exactly why it is, but it is the method of protection. They say that garlic originally got its reputation from ancient Egypt, and they used to use it to protect against the plague and supernatural stuff. The southern Slavic regions used garlic to protect people from demonic forces, witches, and sorcerers. And St. Andrew was actually said to be the donor of garlic to humanity. Garlic against vampires was big in Slavic countries, in Romania, of course. It was used to find and prevent them. You could hide you could spot a vampire in a group by making people eat food that had garlic in it, and the vampire wouldn't eat it, I guess. But Oh, shit. In the 1970s, a Romanian church distributed garlic during service, observing those who refused to eat it and figuring out if the person was a vampire. Like, literally, 1970s, they were using... in Romania. Now, you got to remember. Now, hold on. The Romanians have a long history of vampires. And isn't Transylvania, like, now Romania?
Yeah.
Right. So they have a history of people, like, you know, they're like, fuck it. Look, you guys are here. It's Sunday. The whole town is here. Everybody's getting garlic. You're vampires. Yeah. Stakes in the heart. What's the deal with the stake in the heart, by the way?
I think Adam said yesterday that the stake had to do with it was more of a physically
that's right.
staking them to the ground to keep them from rising up, and that was something that they did like after the fact. But I guess that would be a means to kill it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's another one. Silver. What's up with that?
I think it could be perhaps it has like its reflective properties.
I thought that was you mean silver as in like silver bullets? That's werewolves.
I know it's werewolves. I thought it applied to vampires as well. Could I be wrong about that?
No, I think you're right actually. I think I read that somewhere.
Vampires and silver. Okay, so oh, well, I'm going to tell you right now. Here's a question. It says, I heard that vampires are injured when they come into contact with silver. If it's true, then like silver, are there any more materials that vampires can't touch? Silver has a unique place in vampire mythology as the single solid, naturally occurring substance that can injure a vampire. The UV rays of sunlight can harm a vampire, as can fire or holy water, but these are all substances that have to be created in order to use. We can create machines that emit ultraviolet rays, we can bless water, we can start fires, blah, 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 blah. Silver is naturally occurring, and it's a mineral that, in and of itself, can be dangerous to vampires. Why silver? For whatever chemical reason, silver has a unique effect upon vampires, and when it comes in contact with their skin, not only does it burn, it has a paralyzing effect, making it so the vampire cannot pull the silver off of itself. So the muscles seize, and the person becomes unable to disconnect themselves from the source, kind of like when you get like hooked up to electricity.
Doesn't silver have some antibacterial properties? Like silver ions don't.
Colloidal silver is something that Alex Jones has been, like, buy my Berkey water filters and colloidal silver.
That's like the thing you drink, but I mean, like, this is like an actual thing. I think silver can kill bacteria, if I'm not mistaken. So again, maybe it's like the garlic, and it has an origin in the fact that someone stumbled on the fact that it has some antibacterial properties, and it kind of got conflated with vampires along the way. I don't know.
Interesting.
Another one I think is interesting is, have you ever heard the one about if you have a vampire? God, I hope I'm thinking of vampires. I'm going to sound like a jackass. If you drop like toothpicks or grains of rice, they have to stop and count them. Have you guys heard that one as well?
Yeah, they used to sprinkle poppy seeds and rice outside of their graves. So they'd spend all night there counting them and whatnot. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, that one, I don't know what the origins would be. Like, maybe some vampire had Asperger's and like had to count shit. I don't know.
Interesting.
I can't think of like a legitimate reason for that to, come about. Like,
what, the counting the toothpicks or something? Yeah.
Yeah, because like garlic kills bacteria and all that. Like, I can understand where that comes from, but yeah, I don't understand where the vampires counting things would.
I don't know either. What about the whole like you?
Well,
have
guys,
to,
look at the connection between counting things, like Jews.
Oh, I never
vampires
thought about
count
that,
out
Larry.
grains.
That's a good
We're
one.
talking about grains of rice, not pennies. Like, I could understand if it was pennies. But
Well, you got to think, dude. The vampire's hungry.
hungry for blood, not rice. He's not getting Chinese food.
Right.
Blood rice.
Maybe that's what it is.
But I don't know. Sorry about that. Counting. You were saying, Johnny?
I was just gonna say it's the same as like, what about the whole superstition of having to invite them into your house? Remember what was it, the Lost Boys, where the mom brought the guy home and he's like, oh, you're the man of the house, aren't you gonna invite me in? And he's like, yeah, come on in, because he was he was a vampire and he was very cool. But Jason Patrick, yeah. I love that movie, The Lost Boys. Speaking of vampire stuff, that movie is great.
I've never seen it.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty good. You should watch
I don't
it.
watch a lot of movies.
It's like the best. It's the best like vampire. It's shitty, but it's like it's a good vampire movie. Right? You know that? I mean, it's an early '90s. Like it's got Kiefer Sutherland, Jason Patric.
They're no Robert Pattinson.
Right.
Who the fuck is Robert Pattinson?
Look him up. Look him up.
Oh, we did this already, didn't we? We did this last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
For those who haven't picked up on this yet, this is day 2 of Paranormies Vampires.
No, I think you meant we did this an hour ago.
We did this an hour ago when James,
Right.
when Death and Adam were still here. That's right.
Right.
Pattinson. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, he's my favorite vampire personally.
Him and Taylor Lautner was I think he was like
Well,
a
he was a
werewolf or
werewolf.
something.
He wasn't a vampire. We'll save him for our werewolf episode.
Oh God.
But he was my favorite werewolf.
Are we
Are we
sparkle posting now?
We're gay posting.
You guys are gay posting like a motherfucker.
It's not gay, dude. What's gay about a werewolf? They'll fucking rip your throat out.
Right, but he's got to put a shirt on. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, he can't just wander around the wood with his pecs.
It's his one weakness.
Yeah, the hermeneutics of gay vampire suspicion.
Oh Christ. Okay.
All right, so vampires.
Back on topic.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
We were talking about the Lost Boys
Mirrors. Where's that come
and
from?
mirrors. Yeah, I don't know where mirrors come from, but there's a scene in the Lost Boys where the brother who is turned into a vampire can't see himself in the mirror, and his little brother freaks out. One of the Coreys, actually both of the Coreys, Feldman and Haim, are both in that movie. And the younger brother can't see his brother in the mirror, and he freaks out. You're a vampire! You're a vampire! Yeah, that's one of the things. What do you guys think is the deal with the mirrors?
Dude,
Well,
I got no idea.
remember we said that they couldn't. It's believed that vampires don't have a reflection in the mirror because they don't have souls, since they're the undead.
Okay, but black people can see themselves in a mirror, and they don't have souls.
Yeah, I was about to say. It was like that was.
Well, I
that's my
mean-
rebuttal.
Well, I can't explain that, but we don't really believe in vampires here in America, do we? I mean, I certainly don't.
I believe in Robert Pattinson. But besides that, no. No, I don't know. Well, okay, mirrors used to be made. I don't know if they still are, but didn't they used to be made with silver?
It's maybe.
You have glass, and then you have the reflective silver behind it.
Yeah, you're right, man. I think mirrors were. I think they were.
Maybe
used to.
that's related
silver.
somehow. I don't
Well,
know.
So there's the theory about the vampires being, being immortal, right? Vampires live forever as long as they keep getting blood or whatever. So, you guys know what the Dorian Gray effect is, right?
Yeah, with the painting, they got older, and Dorian Gray didn't age. Yeah.
Right. Well, vampires are supposedly frozen in time, because they, are immortal. So maybe
Does that make them gay?
Since they were, well, a lot of times they were. I mean, Tom Cruise.
Well,
But,
is being frozen in time make you gay, or do you have to actually travel in time to be gay?
I think that being frozen in time causes a sort of time travel because you've been alive.
That's true, because
for
you're not
500 years.
moving with time. Yeah.
Right.
It makes you
So anyway,
a vampire.
So if the vampire is physically frozen in time, it follows that the painting or reflection can't exist. So
Because what? It's like you're viewing like a change in time or something. Like
yeah, and then sometimes you show sometimes you've seen where the clothes will reflect, but the vampire won't. And that's
What
because
now? You cut out.
clothes will reflect, like
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the vampire won't. Well, because clothes are a finite thing, and clothes are not immortal. Jeans eventually wear out. A suit jacket wears out eventually. So maybe, the clothes actually being in time, and the vampire being frozen in time. That way, you can't see him, but the clothes are actually physically there. in the time.
Yeah,
You know,
that makes
time's another really weird thing that I'd like to eventually discuss. Like, time itself is an esoteric thing. Can anybody define what time is?
That's going to be a real Joe Rogan type episode, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, get your never mind. I was gonna say
Do a bunch of DMT.
Yeah, I was gonna say grab your DMT and sit down.
Get your DMT, your bong, and sit down, bro. We're gonna talk about first my company on it. Yeah, so we made all this stuff that's really expensive that you have to buy, and it's why I'm rich, so I can do all this stuff. Yeah. Then hey, you guys know I did Fear Factor, and like, no, dude, like I get to, you know what I do because I'm so rich, I get to roll around and punch people in the head all day long because I'm rich and I don't have to have a job. And I'm gonna tell you how you should be doing the same stuff. Yeah, whatever. He did get Alex Jones to smoke weed. I'll give him that. All right, back to vampires. Fuck Joe Rogan.
You going into Elizabeth Bathory?
Yeah, let's talk about Elizabeth Bathory. That's a really good story. That a certain friend of ours, Larry, that is not exactly the biggest fan of the Paranormies, but he's a fan of both of ours.
Yeah, motherfucker thinks Bigfoot doesn't exist, but he's a huge fan of the Blood Countess.
Yes, the Blood Countess, also known as Countess Elizabeth Bathory de Exid, from Hungary. She was a Hungarian noblewoman and a serial killer, supposedly. Now, she is labeled as the most prolific serial killer in the history of the world. Female serial killer. Although the actual number is debated. She was accused of torturing and killing hundreds of young women between 1585 and 1609. The highest number is around 650. That's a lot of girls. She is often compared with Vlad the Impaler, and is actually herself has contributed stories to the vampire mythos and the Dracula legend. So, yeah, you want to talk about her a little bit?
Well,
Yeah.
I've heard, I don't know how true this is because I haven't really looked into her, but I've heard that this whole thing might have been a little exaggerated by some people trying to lay claim to her properties. Because she inherited all this from her husband, didn't she? Like, her husband died and then she got her estate. So I heard some.
Well, she was a noble. She was a noble person. I mean, like, she was.
Right.
She was the niece of a Hungarian noble, Stephen Bathory, king of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and Prince of Transylvania. So her brother was the Judge Royal of Hungary. So she was born into a privileged family of nobility. So she was a fucking white girl. No, she was privileged, and
well, she probably was white.
Yeah, she was definitely white.
Medieval Hungary.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I mean, she had wealth and education and this, a very high social position. The thing is that she gave birth to a kid at age 13 who was supposedly a peasant boy's son, and who.
Yeah, dude, and where the.
No, go ahead.
Where that child was sent actually was taken to Wallachia. That's where Vlad the Impaler,
right,
laid his head.
Mm-hmm.
Well, were they around at the same time or not? Like, I don't know.
No.
Okay.
No, I think he was about 100 years or so before her. I can look it up quick.
Gotcha. No, I just didn't know if they were, contemporaries or not. So she killed women, right? Did she kill any men, or was it all women?
No, it seems to be all women.
Yeah, I read that they were mostly thought to be daughters of peasants, like local peasants, and her status in society is actually what shielded her and allowed her to get away with all this stuff. But yeah, that first child she had, that was out of wedlock, and then she got married, and then she kept her last name.
Yeah.
But doesn't really have anything to do with anything.
No, she was like, there was a lot of like torturing. Girls were scalded with hot tongs and then placed in freezing water. They were covered in honey and live ants. She is also suspected of cannibalism. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they people reported having seen traces of the torture, which were the bodies were buried in graveyards and dug up or whatever. A lot of people said they saw it like during the trial. What?
I was gonna say that ants thing. I think the technical term for it is scaphism or scaphism. I don't know how it's pronounced, but have you heard of this before?
It sounds
this
gross.
An execution.
No.
This was an execution method that was used by, I want to say, the Persians. I could be wrong on that though. Basically, what they would do is they would put you out on a boat, right? And they'd have two boats. So like they'd make like a turtle, out of these two boats, and your head and your arms would be sticking out and your legs would be sticking out, but you'd have your body in the boat, right? Like they drill holes for your head to stick out.
Oh my God.
They'd send you out to the lake. They would put usually like beetles or ants or whatever in the boat, and then they would cover you in like honey, like you said, and they would basically force feed you milk and honey, and you would get the shits, and the beetles would go crazy for all this filth and basically eat you over a period of days alive.
Fucking
and
gross.
It would take and it would take a week or two to actually die because they're beetles or little insects, and you'd eventually die from a combination of like dehydration, the sun, because you're getting cooked inside the boat all day, and obviously being eaten alive by insects. So you said that ants and honey thing, and it just reminded me of that. I'm sure it's pretty similar to scaphism.
Awesome. It's really gross.
It's a pretty brutal way to go out.
So there's a lot of testimonials from her closest servants and confidants. Said that she kept her servants chained up every night so tight that their hands turned blue and they spurted blood. She beat them to the point where there was so much blood on the walls and beds that they had to use ashes and cinders to soak it up. She beat a servant in Vienna so loudly her neighbors, who happened to be monks, threw clay pots at the wall in protest. She strangled a servant to death with a silk scarf, a harem technique known as the Turkish way. She burned her servants with metal sticks, red-hot keys, and coins, ironed the soles of their feet, and stuck burning iron rods into their vaginas, stabbed them and pricked them in their mouths and fingernails with needles, and cut their hands and lips and noses with scissors, used needles, knives, and candles and her own freaking teeth to lacerate servants' genitals. So she was into the...
oh, God, Jesus Christ. Ugh.
Stitched their lips and tongues together, made servants sit on stinging nettles, then bathe with said stinging nettles. During the bath, she'd push the nettles into their shoulders and their breasts, had them stand in tubs of ice water up to their necks until they died. Smeared a naked girl with honey and then left her outside to be bitten by ants, wasps, bees, and flies. Kept them from eating for a week at a time, and if they got thirsty, made them drink their own urine. Forced them to cook and eat their own flesh, usually from their buttocks, or make sausages and serve it to their guests. Heat up a cake to red-hot temperatures and make a servant eat it. Baked a magical poisonous cake in order to kill a rival magistrate, George Thurzo, who was also the guy who arrested her. Cast a magic spell to summon a cloud filled with 90 cats to torment her enemies. Okay, so she summoned like a cat lady's apartment.
What a bitch.
Had an ongoing affair with some guy named Ironhead Steve. I wonder if he's in a relation to Heroin Steve. Is he any relation to Heroin Steve? Stuffed
I think
five.
he might be.
He might be an ancient relative of Heroin Steve. Stuffed 5 servants' corpses underneath a bed and continued to feed them as if they were still alive. That's just weird. Buried them in gardens, in grain pits, in orchards, and occasionally cemeteries, sometimes with rites and often without. Those are just some of the charges levied against her. After she died, there's some more details. She bathed in virgin's blood. She was syphilitic from centuries of inbreeding. I mean, that I don't know. She was epileptic. She was raped when she was young. That's possible. There was other, she was menopausal, which is, well, women go nuts.
Yeah, that's like pretty normal compared to the other things on here.
Yeah. So,
not the best of bosses.
No.
Yeah, no.
Not a. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that makes her a vampire, other than the drinking of the blood. She wasn't. I don't think she was a vampire per se, as in somebody who was an actual, immortal vampire, like a Lestat or a, like that.
Just kind of sounds like a kind of a rude person.
Rude is an understatement. We rude, but we tell people to grow up. Okay, listen, you guys are being mad about the t-shirts not being here yet. Listen, life happens. Grow up. Okay, so the t-shirts will get here. Grow up. Okay, maybe if you had a job, you wouldn't worry about where your t-shirt was. But that's about as rude as we get. She has to be the rudest person on it. She ironed their feet and stuck red hot pokers in their vaginas.
Well, as they say, you do what you like to do, and I'll do what I like to do.
Yeah. I just think it's kind of funny.
Like an ANCAP hero. Well, they were employees, they could have. It's free market.
Well, I think part of
next cast.
I think part of the Bathory thing is that she had a weird connection to Transylvania, which kind of led to the vampire connection. There's she was the legends of her started around 1729. Which there were witness accounts that started popping up in 1765. There were the blood baths that they talked about, and there's a guy, John Paget. I don't know how to pronounce. I don't know if it's French or not, but he describes the supposed origins of her blood bathing. Even though it sounds more like he kind of fictionalized it a little more, but because it was 100 years later. So sadistic pleasure is considered a far more plausible motive, than actual vampirism. She could have just been some sick bitch,
Yeah.
Who knows?
Sounds like it. But here's my question, though, and I have to wonder how much of this was made up and how much of it was real. How many corpses did they find? I guess I should probably ask. Were there actual corpses, or
I don't even know. I don't know. A lot of it is they had over 300 witnesses at the trials.
Well, there's been a lot of people who were Holocaust witnesses too, but
Oh my God, mind blown! This is the first Holocaust,
and I'm just saying,
first Nuremberg.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying it happened, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just curious.
They put 25 centimeters of flaming hot poker up my vagina.
Yeah. She had a bear and an
There
eagle.
was a bear and an eagle in a cage. And Lady Bathory would come and have sex with the bear, and the eagle would fuck me in the ass.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus God. The last living Holocaust survivor is about to die or something like that, and then everything from then on out is going to be just hearsay.
I fucking hope so.
I don't think that's going to happen for a few more decades, because you have.
No, I saw something. I saw something earlier. It was like the last something.
That can't be.
So
right. Well,
okay. So speaking of
because
Holocaust,
it happened 70-some years ago, so you figure like an 8-year-old kid in the camp is like in their 70s still,
right?
Or maybe 80s.
Right.
So.
My kid is 10, and he misremembers shit that happened yesterday.
Right, but I'm saying the last one is we're going to be hearing about it for several more decades at least.
Oh, I'm sure, unless we do the things that we talk about on Larry's show.
Check it out.
You should check out the Alc-Right Rises. Yeah, I'm on there quite a bit. It's a good show. I like it. These are my friends. All right, so back to vampirism and vampires. We did Bathory. Did we talk about Lilith at all?
No. I don't think
you guys want to talk about Lilith real quick? The mother of all
wasn't she
vampires?
the first vampire Yeah, so
Lilith
she
is like the mother of all vampires, dude.
she broke up with Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she
Yep.
used to come back and like feast and take away newborn babies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the tale. It's kind of the most common form of her thing comes from Jewish folklore. What a surprise! And the medieval tale called the Alphabet of Ben Sira. So the story kind of goes like, Lilith was Adam's first wife and made at the same time and the same dust as Adam, but because she saw herself on equal terms, she refused to take this submissive sexual position and cursed him when he refused to see her as an equal. She then ran away to the Red Sea and began sleeping with demons and having 100 children a day.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, so God sent 3 angels with a message that he would kill her demon children if she didn't return to Adam. She chose option B. She cursed the angels and was banned from paradise forever. So now God had man without a wife, so he borrowed Adam's rib and created Eve, which only enraged Lilith even further. I'd be pissed too, you know, if I was her. She declared war against mankind, promising to murder children, torment men, and destroy women's hopes for families. So her goal, then how you tie that into with vampires, she was to seduce men in the middle of the night and steal their semen to produce more demon spawn. She would also sometimes suck their blood to make herself stronger, killing her victims once she was done. And she was immortal because she didn't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So unlike Adam and Eve, she didn't have the curse, so she was immortal.
Can't handle rejection now.
No, can't handle rejection at all.
Typical woman.
That's a real bad breakup.
Right? Yeah, like worst breakup in the history of breakups. So, you know, men believe that whenever they had these nocturnal emissions, you know, like, how you say, what do they call it? A wet dream?
They came in their pants when they were sleeping.
Came in their pants while they were sleeping? Yeah.
I think we all know what we're talking about here.
I literally, honest to God, literally never, not once in my entire life, just for the record.
Yeah, I don't think, I don't know.
I also discovered...
That's another episode.
Yeah, let's not. Yeah, it's not. So, anyways, whenever men believed they had nocturnal emissions, that's a good way of putting it, Lilith had visited them. Sometimes monks would even sleep with their hands over their genitals while holding a crucifix in order to keep her away.
Oh my God.
Similarly, it was said that the 3 angels of God sent to bring Lilith back to Adam made her promise not to touch anyone who had an amulet with their names on it. Pregnant mothers would often wear these amulets or place them on newborn children to shield them from Lilith's clutches. This is so fucking funny.
Let me tell you what happened with that monk thing. Let me tell you what really happened, right? Some monk was jacking off and he got caught by another monk and he was real quick on his feet and he thought, oh, I'm trying to protect myself from Lilith.
So he pulled this crucifix over his junk.
Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, just didn't want Lilith to get me. And the other monk's like, oh,
thanks for checking on me, brother. Thanks for checking on me.
Yeah, that's how that actually started.
Wow, this is a story I can get behind. So Lilith is often depicted with wings and talons and sometimes a lion's head. Only recently, it's the artists that portrayed her as a beautiful woman. She's associated with owls, jackals, deserts, snakes, and according to the Kabbalah, Jewish book of mysticism, Lilith's powers are strongest during the waning of the moon. So Lilith is in the Kabbalah. Interesting. Lilith isn't found in just Jewish culture. Various aspects of her character and behavior pop up in Iranian, Babylonian, Mexican, Greek, Arab, German, English, Asian, and Native American legends. She's actually alluded to in the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is really interesting. In the Old Testament book of Isaiah, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and in the Talmud. Wow. Okay.
The Gilgamesh one is the most interesting to me because that predates the Bible by like a millennium, doesn't it?
Yes,
like
thousands of years.
Is that mankind's oldest written work or no? I can't remember.
Well,
I just got that book at the thrift store.
What, the Epic of Gilgamesh?
Yeah, I found it. It was 49 cents paperback.
What?
Huh.
Yeah, I swear to God, dude, I'll take a picture of it and post
I gotta
it in
go to
group
the
later.
thrift store.
I
No,
believe it.
post a PDF of that book. Scan it. Send it to me.
Well, I have to imagine you can find it online. Like, I doubt there's a copyright on it still.
No, I think it was like I'll put a picture of it in the group after this is over.
Okay. Yeah, the Epic of Gilgamesh is a good read. You got the original antediluvian story, the pre-flood and then the flood.
Shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I mean,
Yeah,
so it'd be kind of crazy, if you think about it. Like, of course, modern day feminists have adopted Lilith as a symbol of equality because she refused to be subservient to Adam. So, like feminist cunts like Edith Perlman and Cynthia Ozick have written for the Jewish magazine named after her. There's a Jewish magazine named Lilith, which is a fucking feminist fucking cancer production. The magazine just kind of avoids the whole vampire killing babies and succubus thing, or blames Lilith's bad rep on the men who wrote history. Of course!
Oh yeah,
Of course! Of course!
Isn't it?
Of course.
Of course!
Of course.
A lot of loyalty for a
Wrong drop, sorry.
That's all right.
One more
Isn't
time.
it funny
Of course!
Of course.
Of course!
that like,
Of course.
these cunts identify with this bitch? Why?
Ah! Makes me want to just, break out and put them in,
Shall we say personal gas chamber?
Well, guys, she attained immortality through being a strong and independent woman.
Right.
Lilith
She
is a
didn't
fucking cat lady. She's a cat.
Yeah,
lady.
she didn't follow that silly man Adam and eat that fruit and whatnot.
Right. So here's the
She
question.
just gave birth to a bunch of demon spawn every fucking day.
Yeah,
Lilith, if you're
100.
listening, you're a cat lady.
Yeah, you're literally
Notice
a cat
me,
lady.
Lilith.
Get a life.
Well, yeah, get a life. Listen. Maybe you just grew up. Put down the Harry Potter books. Put down the Harry Potter books. This isn't Hogwarts, bitch. Right?
Yeah,
The Harry Potter shaming is the best. So a friend of mine and I went out the other day, and we went out to grab some beers after work and some appetizers or whatever. And the waitress comes over, and she said something. I was like, "Oh, that's a really," I don't know. I was being super condescending, but she didn't catch on to it. And I was like, "Yeah, and I bet you like Harry Potter." She's like, "Oh my God, I love Harry Potter." I was like, "Of course you do. You're a woman." She goes, my buddy looks at me. He's like, "What are you doing, dude? She's hot. Shut up." I'm like, No, seriously. I'm like, of course you do. You're a woman. She's like, "What does that mean?" I was like, and I started breaking down the Harry Potter, and I told her to grow up. And I did. I
She's
told
like,
her.
"Oh, what does that mean?"
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, now you fit into the other, stereotypes of women. You're fucking stupid too." So like,
Right. Not to insult the 6 listeners that are females of our show.
Not those women.
Not
The
those
other
women.
ones.
Obviously, we're not talking about you. You're listening to our show. I always say that to people. I was like, whenever I say something, I was like, yeah, I really hate people that do this. And everybody's response is always, well, I don't do that. Well, of course you don't do that. I'm talking to you about people that do that. You're obviously not one of those people. I'm obviously talking behind their backs, yeah. So, you're not one of them because I'm speaking to you. If you were one of them, I would be talking behind your back just like everybody else. No,
clearly
all
not
right.
behind their back because they know you're doing it. You made a list, dude. So
Right. I know, I made a list. Again. Pretty crazy. So speaking of crazy, so these myths like excuse me, like Lilith, Elizabeth Bathory, these things are passed down generations, even thousands of years. Lilith is thousands and thousands of years old, that story, right? Throughout history and in cultures all over the world. You've got Babylonians talking about Lilith, you've got Egyptians talking about Lilith, you've got Christians, you've got all kinds of people talking about this. So it's kind of, you'd think that, something that's been passed down that far has to have some truth to it. No?
I'll say why not. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, like I said, it's been passed down for, like I said, Lilith is thousands of years. The Gilgamesh appendix, and Arslan Tash amulets, which are thousands and thousands of years old. Of course, in Hebrew, Lilith means night creature or night hag. It's a Lilith or Lilith. And it's in the Old Testament in Isaiah. It's in the Dead Sea Scrolls. She's in the Dead Sea Scrolls under a list of monsters and then in Jewish magical inscriptions on bowls and amulets from the 6th century, Lilith is identified as a female demon. So, I mean, the Jews knew all about Lilith.
Yeah.
Like she's from the Akkadian language. Now, the Akkadians in Assyria and Babylonia. Now, that's even further back, right? Babylon?
God, I don't know. I'm not a historian. I mean, it's old.
Yeah.
I know that.
I mean, yeah, this goes back like to ancient, Babylon, and I don't know about Sumer, but at least ancient Egypt, ancient Babylon, Assyria, the Akkadians, and again the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is okay. So the Epic of Gilgamesh is dated at 600 BC. So
okay, no, it's got to be older than that, dude.
That's what it says
Are
here.
you sure?
That's what it says. Well, that's what Wikipedia is telling me.
Let me do my intern work.
Do your Googles real quick.
I just feel like it's much older.
Do your Googles.
Well, of course,
Mesopotamia wasn't even around in 600 BC. Like, I'm pretty sure it was long gone.
That's true. Eberhard Schrader and Moritz Abraham Levy suggest that Lilith was a goddess of the night, also known by the Jewish exiles in Babylon. Schrader and Levy's view is partly dependent on a later dating of Isaiah to the 6th century BC, because there's 600 BC, and the presence of Jews in Babylon, which would coincide with the possible references to Litu in Babylon demonology. So, I mean, who knows? There's Jews arguing about how old this Jew is. So
2100 BC is the earliest findings for the Epic of Gilgamesh. So
okay. Yeah, there's 3 references to Lilith in the Babylonian Talmud in the Gemara on 3 separate atrocities of the Mishnah. Rab Judah, citing Samuel, ruled, if an abortion had the likeness of Lilith's in its mother's is unclean by reason of the birth, for it is a child, but it has wings. All right. Expounding on the curses of womanhood. Yeah, being a woman is a curse. In Berethia, it was taught she grows long hair like Lilith, sits when making water like a beast, so sits when she pees, and serves as a bolster for her husband. All right, so yes, Lilith obviously sits when she pees. Hania said, one may not sleep in a house alone or in a lonely house, and whoever sleeps in a house alone is seized by Lilith. In the Babylonian Talmud on Tractic Sabbath 151b. Man, the Jews have been around with these vampires since the beginning, since pre the beginning. The Alphabet of Ben Sirah. That's the book that talks a lot about Adam and Lilith before Adam met Eve. Of course, there's the Kabbalah. There's a relationship between Lilith and they call it the deity in the Kabbalah. They don't call it Yahweh or whatever. So when Adam was created, 1,000 souls from the evil side attempted to attach themselves to him, but God drove them off, and Adam was left dying as a body without a soul. Then a cloud descended to earth, and God commanded the earth to produce a living soul, and then God breathed life into Adam, which began to spring life, and the female was attached to his side. God separated female from Adam's side. The females from his side was Lilith, whereupon she flew to the cities of the sea and attacked humankind. All right. Lilith seemed to be like a bitch from the get-go. Like,
yeah, she's another rude person.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of rude
and of course,
people
there's references to Lilith in the Zohar. More references to Lilith in more Jewish writings. I don't think
wasn't that fucking Adam Sandler movie where he was
that's the Zohar, but the Zohar is the Kabbalah. The Zohar is the actual books of the Kabbalah. Yeah.
Okay.
17th century Hebrew magical amulets. They're the Tree of Life, which is the Kabbalah, Greco-Roman mythology, which we all know is kind of kiked. So, anyways,
we should talk about what was that dude Larry you're talking about?
Rod Farrell.
Yeah. Yeah, what's up with him? Like, he read too many Harry Potter books and went crazy or some shit?
No, he was obsessed with playing the role-playing game Vampire the Masquerade. He created it.
That sounds worse than Harry Potter, to be honest.
Dude, I really think it is. It's mid-90s tier, so it's definitely worse than Harry Potter. So this guy took it so seriously that he told friends that he was a 500-year-old vampire named Visago, when in all reality he was just a 17-year-old kid from Florida. I mean, Murray, Kentucky. He had a vampire clan. Well, in 1996, he actually drove to a friend of his that he had known from his childhood that lived in Eustis, Florida, and she had told them that my parents are making my life hell and all that stuff. So he took his little gang, the Vampire Clan, to the house after he took a bunch of acid, and then went in and beat her parents to death with a crowbar.
Holy shit.
Do vampires use crowbars?
No,
I feel like that's unbecoming of a vampire.
Well, it is actually said that after he killed them, he tasted their blood and whatnot, but that's just him being a faggy LARPing retard.
Yeah, he was LARPing as a vampire at that point.
Yeah, and apparently he burned the shape of a V into the arms of his victims.
Holy shnikes.
V for vagina, which is bad.
V for Vampire Clan.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
V for Vendetta. Yeah.
Well, the government should fear its. What is it? The government should fear its people. The people shouldn't fear its government. That fucking
for
movie.
Christ's sakes.
Hey,
guys.
He was convicted of.
He was convicted of what? Of murder and.
He got sentenced to death, but it was commuted to life. But before it was commuted, he was the youngest person on death row.
That's right. Yeah. How old was he?
He was 17.
Oh. That reminds me of
17 when he did it. Was he 17 when he got caught as well? Like, I assume, did he get caught right away, or do you not know?
He was 17. He was born March 28th, 1980, and in 1988 he pled guilty to the double slaying. So he was probably 18.
18 when it started, so he was like 25. Yeah.
But he was the oldest because he was a 500-year-old vampire named Visago.
Yeah, that's right. He was a 500-year-old vampire. He was simultaneously youngest and oldest at the exact same moment. Wow.
That face went.
Call Guinness. Call Guinness. We got a record.
He's got 2 records, actually.
We got 2 records. All right. So the second hour has gone by quite quickly. We could probably do vampires for a lot longer. I know.
Dude, we haven't even got into the fucking energy vampire shit yet.
I know. We should do a whole episode on energy vampires in that case, because I feel we could do that.
Well, do you want to? Because I don't know. I know we can fill out. I know we can do hour 3. I don't know we can do hour 3 and 4.
I don't think we can do hour. I bet you we can, because we can tie in energy vampires, psychic vampirism, and archons.
And there's a Jewish connection there with the energy vampires.
There is an article. There is. We could do that. No, we could definitely turn that into 2 hours, Scott. So we're gonna tease that.
Do you want to do that next week or what?
No, we're gonna do Amityville with Brad. Remember?
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah, I totally forgot.
Little teaser. We're gonna do Amityville, Murder Central. So yeah. All right. So this was fun. Thanks, Larry, for coming on and finishing.
Dude, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude, you can come back anytime. You can come on anytime, dude. I know you're a big fan of the show. I'm a big fan of your show. But you're good on the serial murder guys too. So yeah, we're gonna do that. So
yeah, I saw Bradshaw was posting some stuff about that.
Yeah, we'll do all the good ones. Dahmer, Geen, the rest.
Well, right on, dude. Anytime you guys will have me, I'd love to come on. So
you got anything you want to promote real quick?
I don't know. Read my articles at identitydixie.com and listen to my show. Other than that, not really.
Do you have any personal spooky stories that have happened to you?
To tell you the truth, man, I'm not really. I'm kind of an avid indoorsman. I don't really go outside and do much.
Gotcha.
That's a great phrase. He's an avid indoorsman.
I'm a very avid indoorsman as well.
Yeah, I know you are. All right.
I'm not a fan of the outside shit.
No, none of us are.
There's too much bullshit, not enough social capital out there.
Well, there's people out there, and I hate them all. So yeah. All right. Anyways, all right, guys. Well, thanks, Larry. Thanks, Scott, for helping us finish out this second hour.
Yeah.
Too bad Adam and Dev couldn't make it. We'll be back next week. Okay.
Yeah, and if you have spooky stories you want to tell us, let me know. I just recorded. I guess it was 2 days ago now. I recorded the first one with a guy.
We'll release that. Yeah, we're gonna put those all together and release them. Maybe. You'll get 2 Paranormies episodes a week now from now on. You guys help us out.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
It was a scary story, I gotta say. I don't want to give too
starting
much
off with a scary story and the best picture on the T-shirt. You guys got to step your game up. All right, so we'll see you guys next week. Larry, again, thanks for coming on. Scott, thanks for the rightstuff.biz. I'm Johnny Monoxide. This has been the Paranormies present the Ahnenerbe Hour. We're gonna have Bradshaw read you another creepypasta, and we will see you next week. Later.
Vampires make you gay.
One school day, a boy named Tom was sitting in class and doing math. It was 6 more minutes until after school. As he was doing his homework, something caught his eye. His desk was right next to the window, and he turned and looked to the grass outside. It looked like a picture. When school was over, he ran over to the spot where he saw it. He ran so fast that no one else could grab it. He picked it up and smiled. It had a picture of the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. She had a dress on with tights and red shoes. Her hand was formed into a peace sign. She was so beautiful, he wanted to meet her. So he ran all over the school and asked if anyone knew who she was or if they had ever seen her before. But everyone he asked said no. He was devastated. When he was home, he asked his older sister if she knew the girl, but unfortunately she also said no. It was very late, so Tom walked upstairs, placed the picture on his bedside table, and went to sleep. In the middle of the night, Tom was awakened by a tap on his window. It was like a nail tapping. He got scared. After the tapping, he heard a giggle. He saw a shadow near his window, so he got out of his bed, walked towards the window, opened it up, and followed the giggling. By the time he reached it, it was gone. The next day, he asked his neighbors if they knew her. Everybody said, sorry, no. When his mother came home, he even asked her if she knew her. She said no. He went to his room, placed the picture on his desk, and fell asleep. Once again, he was awakened by a tapping. He took the picture and followed the giggling. He walked across the road when suddenly he was struck by a car. He was dead with the picture in his hand. The driver got out of the car and tried to help him, but it was already too late. Suddenly, he saw the picture and picked it up. He saw a cute girl holding up 3 fingers.